And I'm Teresa.
And we are excited that you decided to join us today. And Teresa and I are in pink because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Teresa, how are you doing?
I am doing very well today. How about yourself?
Well, doing well. A little tired, just a little tired. We had to travel for my aunt's funeral, and I started to put this under our good news segment. Not, of course, it's not good news that she passed, but my aunt Roxana was almost 101,
Oh,
and she lived such a long and healthy life.
yeah.
So even though it was certainly a sad time, and we tried to be there to support her children and the rest of the family. But the good news was that I got to see my extended family. And
Mm-hmm.
in
Hmm.
addition to comforting each other, we shared stories about our childhood, and we laughed a lot and reconnected. And at the service, I got to hear some songs that I remember from when I was a little girl, the songs that they sing at funerals to sort of they reference and they signify the passing of someone, but they also talk about the hope for the future. So it just sort of took me back, and so it was
Right.
really a good time.
I
Yeah.
can I can see that. I mean, it was a celebration of her life.
Oh, of course.
A
I mean, almost
celebration.
101. What else can you ask for? Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I
So
tell you, I just enjoy whenever I go home. My church is an old country church, and the
yeah.
same thing. We hear those old hymns and sing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, and it just sort of does something to you. It took me right
Mhm.
back to when I was a
Yep,
little
yep,
girl. And
right.
so it was just good. It was really good. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
All
you're
right.
doing well?
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, good, good,
You
good. Okay. All right.
ready to get started? So,
All
to,
righty.
so today, folks, we're going to talk about breast cancer. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as Lou stated in the
And listen,
intro.
when we talk, folks, don't go, yeah, yet another topic, another time for us to talk about breast cancer. But yeah, it's important. And yeah, we're
It's
gonna go
important.
there too. So
And you can't talk about it enough, really. You can't. You
yeah,
just
yeah,
can't.
yeah,
So, um, admittedly, a breast cancer prognosis largely depends on the type of breast cancer you have and the stage at which it was diagnosed. The good news is that the prognosis has improved considerably over the years. Mortality rates are decreasing thanks to improved screenings and improved treatment. So,
yeah,
we all, like we said, like Lou just alluded to, we all know about breast cancer, but some of the things that you don't hear talked about a lot, we're going to try to cover today, like early detection and why it's important. We're going
yeah.
to share some statistics, as well as we're going to talk about some of the stigmas around breast cancer and why we should really let those go, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So, breast cancer is a complex topic, but understanding the importance of early detection and what to look for doesn't have to be. We need to educate ourselves so that we can help others. And this is for men and women because it can impact any of us, right? Breast cancer is treatable when it's detected early. When breast cancer is detected, um, the earliest, while it's in its localized stages, the 5-year survival rate is right at 99%.
wow, yeah,
Right? That's pretty good.
yeah.
So
That's
early
excellent.
detection is a big deal. If your breasts look if your breasts ever look or feel different, you should talk to a doctor right away. Some common symptoms can include the appearance of a new lump or thickening in or near the breast, a change in how the breast or nipple looks or feels, and any discharge, particularly clear or bloody. Um, however, these are not the only signs or symptoms. Any change in the way your breasts look or feel is a reason to schedule an appointment with your doctor right away. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Breast self-exams, clinical exams, and mammograms are critical for early detection. Practicing breast self awareness helps you to know the normal look and feel of your breasts to compare any changes against. If you notice a change, you can report it to your doctor. It is recommended that women ages 40 and older who have an average risk for developing breast cancer get a mammogram every year. Mammograms can often detect breast cancer before a physical lump is felt. So Lou, I want to share a story right here if you don't mind. So
Mm-hmm.
my mother is a breast cancer survivor. She was diagnosed with breast cancer before she was 40, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she found her lump herself. She found her lump and went to the doctor and they did a biopsy and we found out that it was cancer. So she's still here. She's a survivor and doing very well. But it was due to that early detection and the self breast
Yeah.
exams that she administered that helped her in along that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, and I have a family member that was diagnosed at 32 with breast cancer. And so we've certainly had that impact our family as well. And Teresa, I don't know about you, but I got an email notification the other day that it's time for me to schedule mine for November.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
when I get it, when I know that it's time or I know that it's coming, I just get nervous. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. And I don't relax until I get my results. When I'm in there, I'm trying to read the text face to see, did they notice anything? You know how you do. It's like, can I
Yeah.
detect
Yeah.
something? Because I just want to know sooner than they
Yeah.
tell me. But
But I
I'm
tell
just
you,
always nervous about that.
well, yeah, Lou, you're not alone in that, right? It is a real thing. So whether you've had it or had breast cancer or not, like in your case, you're just doing your routine mammograms.
Yeah, yeah,
There is a thing that is it's common for us to feel a certain type of way because we're anxious about it, right?
yeah.
There was a woman that I saw in preparation for this. Looked at an interview on YouTube, and she likens herself to not a survivor, but a veteran because of the
PTSD.
PTSD associated with having had breast cancer, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so it makes sense to me that you have that anxiety and that
yeah,
and you feel that way um
yeah,
whenever you go for your breast exam. I get a little bit nervous, but I don't, you know, because my mom had it before 40 and because I had to start actually having them
yeah,
having breast mammograms before 40. It's kind of a routine for me, right? I shouldn't take it that easy, but in the beginning it was quite scary because I automatically thought that the same thing was going to happen to me. The
yeah,
information that we have available now is it wasn't the same back then. Back then, I mean, I literally thought that I was going to lose my mom. You
yeah.
know,
Of
because
course.
that's what was happening whenever women uh, got breast cancer. But
Yeah,
thank God she survived. You know, she survived.
yeah. Well, but I think part of it when I started by saying, yeah, we know when you hear breast cancer, you're sort of like, okay, yeah, heard enough on that. Because in some ways, I think because with the early detection and the treatment now, it's almost been sort of glamorized, or because people, they ring the bell and so many women survive it. That's a wonderful thing, but because of that, it's like we've taken our eye off the fact that this is very serious and
It's
prevention is
very
key.
serious, and
Yeah, yeah. So
I'm glad you said that because going back to that interview that I listened to on YouTube with this woman who calls herself a veteran, a breast cancer veteran versus a survivor. She talked about that in her interview. She talked about the fact that everything she'd seen up to then, the support, in the movies, the support, you lose your hair, but you get a little sick and then you're over it. She said it's nothing like that. It is serious. She was really ill. She had support. She had a good support system, and she was very thankful for that, but she wasn't expecting to be as sick as she was, you know?
right, that's what I meant.
Again,
Yeah,
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 again,
yeah.
that where she got the veteran title versus the just a survivor. Interesting,
Right,
interesting.
right, right. So, Teresa, let's talk a little bit about the stats.
Okay.
Um, Breast cancer mainly occurs in middle-aged and older women, but like you said, there certainly women can be diagnosed younger. But the median age at the time of breast cancer diagnosis is 62. Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women in the United States, except for skin cancer. It's about 30%, one in three of all new female cancers each year. Um, about 288,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women. That's
Wow.
a lot.
Mhm. That is a lot.
About 43,250 women will die from breast cancer. And now, when you think of that number, and
Yeah.
then you think about the impact on their families,
Oh gosh.
their neighborhoods, their communities, that's startling. Some variations in breast cancer can be seen between racial and ethnic groups. I am just not surprised at that. But the median age of diagnosis is slightly younger for Black women. Like I said earlier, I had a family member diagnosed, I think she was about 32. Black women have the highest death rate from breast cancer.
Yeah.
And Teresa, I'm pretty sure that ties into the conversations we've had in the past about, when we go to the doctor, we're not receiving the same level of care uh, that other people may receive. Black women have a higher chance of developing breast cancer before the age of 40 than white women. At every age, Black women are more likely to die from breast cancer than any other race or ethnic group. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so advocacy, for sure is the thing that I wanna say about that. You cannot take no for an answer, or if you have a feeling, and that feeling is real, and you should not let anyone tell you otherwise. Going back to that same interview that I watched, with this young lady, she happened to be a Black woman, and she had to fire her first oncologist because she was experiencing some very real pain. And they were telling her, no, you're not. And she's like, I need help. And since you're not going to help me, I'm going to have to let you go and get another doctor. So we have to be willing to have those tough conversations, and we have to be willing to get a second opinion, third opinion, whatever it is, and we have to ask for it.
Well,
Just don't take it.
yeah, you and I did a podcast. I think it was You Are the CEO of Your Health.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, you have to be the one to advocate for yourself, to no, you may not be an MD, neither am I, but you
Nope.
can read, you can process, you use those same skills in other areas of your life. So don't be intimidated when it comes to your health. You can look up words, you can consult resources, and you can ask questions to make
Right.
sure what you're reading and what you're processing is
That's right.
actually on point. And there's nothing wrong with that because I'm sure with no disrespect to medical doctors, but if they go into some other areas, they too would be confused. So don't be intimidated by that.
That's right.
You have to take control of that because that's your life, your health. And
And
so
your body.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So
And I
yeah.
mean, it's a real thing. We need to, number one, know our bodies. We know when we're not well. We should know,
Right.
right?
And we know
And
when something feels different, you
well,
know?
when it doesn't feel right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. So, was that it in terms of statistics, Lou, that you wanted to share?
Yeah, why? Did you expect me to do more research? Are you trying to say I'm lacking or something? That's what I got. Okay? Let's go with that.
You are you are so funny. I just wanted to give you
That's
your
it.
time. Okay, okay, man. All right, stigmas. Okay. Shame or embarrassment surrounding certain topics often keep conversations about women's health in the dark, and this is one of them. For example, a person that has never talked about breast health with someone else might feel like this topic is just too personal. That's an unconscious stigma. They may not know why they don't think it's appropriate to talk about the breast health, but their behavior and or reaction shows that that's a stigma.
Mhm.
Understanding common stigmas can help empower you for conversations about health, about your breast health. Let's talk about them. A stigma. This is a stigma. It's too private or embarrassing to talk about my body to others. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
way to look at it, yeah, yeah, right?
Mhm.
Another way to
Mhm.
look at it is I will find someone I trust to talk to. My doctor, my partner, a friend, a loved one, someone I know that cares about me and they won't get embarrassed,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
another way to look at it. Everyone needs support and encouragement to prioritize their health and seek help when needed, me included. So, just another way to look at it. This is another stigma. Breasts are sexual. To me, that's funny. Breasts are organs that need medical care like any part of our body, like the rest of our body. So,
Mhm.
don't think of it as just being of it being sexual.
Mhm.
Um, Breasts are part of our bodies. Breast cancer is too prevalent to be afraid to talk about it, right? Another stigma. No one in my family ever talks about breast health. So, another way to frame that, I will be the one to change this pattern because my family's health matters,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah. And it's particularly important that you role model that for younger women, not only in your family, but that you come into contact with, because it's important that we stress the importance of, prevention and you know, staying on top of it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that leads me into my next thing to cover, Lou. Um, Prevention. How can we reduce our risk for breast cancer? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, limiting alcohol intake. The more
Mhm.
alcohol you drink, the greater your risk of breast cancer.
Mhm.
Maintaining a healthy weight. If your weight is healthy, work to maintain that weight,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Be physically active. Breastfeed. Now, this was a interesting one to find. I mean, I knew this, but just reading it again, breastfeeding is a real thing. Like
Yeah,
if
it
we
is. Yeah,
more people should be I mean, it's so easy to do that. But of course there are women who have problems, so I don't want to minimize that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you are physically able to breastfeed, that's the best thing you can do for yourself and your baby, right?
yeah, yeah,
And then limiting postmenopausal hormone therapy, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's very important.
Yeah, right.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. That is some good stuff, Teresa, in terms of prevention and the stigmas. And of
Right.
course, at the forefront of all of this, the highest priority, of course, just like you said, prevention, but make sure you're doing your monthly exams. And if something feels funny, please don't hesitate to go get checked out. And don't let anybody make you feel like you're worried, ward, or any of that. Just go and get checked out because, as Teresa said, the earlier you catch it, the better your chances of survival. Because
That's
now,
right.
yeah, because now women are surviving. But again, we don't want to make it sound like that's just a given. You have to do your part. So that's important. Yeah.
All right, Lou, we're ready for the next segment.
Okay.
What's
So,
happening in the news?
what is happening in the news? Well, Teresa, what I noticed is that because I took a road trip to the funeral where gas prices are going up.
Oh
Um,
my.
yeah, yeah, they're
Yes.
starting to creep back up, and they're talking about going back up in the even more in the next 2 months. And of course, gas is something that people, they have to get to work, they have to go places. And so sometimes it's hard. You can cut back in other places, but when you have to, have transportation, that's certainly impacting finances for families. So that's what I noticed. That's been in the news. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true. I mean, just the whole economy and this risk of or this talk about inflation has me a bit unnerved. So now we got a bit of a respite with the gas prices. So now we have to couple that with how much groceries cost. I mean, it's just crazy right now.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's everywhere in the groceries when you go in the store, and if you pick up something, if you're eating out, it's just all of that.
It's
Yeah.
all of it. Yeah. So the thing that I noticed that caught my eye in the news is election deniers being on the ballot. And what does that mean, right? So 60% of us, when we go to the polls, we will be having to choose between an election denier and someone else. What does that mean? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I
And
know.
I get the whole partisan thing. I get it. I get it. I mean, we all have our beliefs, and we're not debating that, right? What we're not. I don't want to debate that, but in the end, in the past, I mean, we've had very close elections and ones where we questioned the outcome, but we let it go after it was declared who won or who
Listen,
lost, right? But now,
listen, I'm
dude,
telling you, I just feel like we're in the what is it, bizarre world or something. It's just I just cannot. I just cannot fathom how we
yeah,
got here. And
yeah,
then I feel like it's Groundhog Day. I keep waking up and we're still here.
that's
The
right.
world has not righted its, we're not back right yet.
Yeah,
And yeah.
it won't right itself. I don't know. But guess how many states we have election deniers on the ballot? How many states have election deniers on the ballot? Guess. Just
How
guess.
many? How many?
Just guess.
20?
46. 46 states have
Have
election deniers on the ballot, and that equates to 345 people who don't believe that the election, don't believe the election results. 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago. They still feel that way even after all of the news. I mean, but like I said, we're not going to get into the debate. But to me, that feels
Well,
like
I
democracy
well,
is.
I don't know. Teresa, I told you I used to work with politicians. I know that arena. I don't know if people actually believe that. People will say and do anything to be elected. I am going to tell you. And if in their assessment being a denier means that they are more likely to be elected, people are going to do whatever they need to do to sit in those chairs. And they figure maybe I'll try to clean that up later. But it's all about getting elected. That's
Well,
what it is.
that really breaks my heart. That
It's
really
true.
makes me
I
sad.
told you before. I have seen it. I've seen it up close, and it's like making sausage. It's ugly. It's
Yeah,
ugly. It's
it
ugly.
is it is
And the sad thing is, people who have credibility, who may be able to right the ship, who may do some good, people don't want to jump in that arena because nobody wants to join the circus. They just don't. People
yeah.
don't want to align themselves with craziness. They don't want to willingly do that. And so then, when you don't have good folks who are willing to do that, you leave it to the other folks to run things. And this is where we are. So,
I know it's so sad.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, another story, Lou, if I will, because it's related. This whole thing with Herschel Walker down in Georgia.
That's your home
That
state. Aren't you proud?
I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed.
Well, it's not any
Why did
worse
you have
than
to
mine.
say
I
that?
mean, yeah,
Why
I
did
know.
you have to
But
put me out like that?
I know, I thought about that. I know, right?
I know. The thing about Herschel Walker is exactly what you said. I feel like he's saying whatever it takes to get him
People
elected
will.
in the
That's what
state
they
of
do.
Georgia.
What was it I just read that Kanye West went to some big fashion show and had, what was it, controversial, White Lives Matter, and we already know that, but he felt the need to push it, you know? And if people were saying he will say and do anything to draw attention to himself whenever he's got some new project, people will sit back and feel like, okay, what can I say that will get me some attention? And they'll do and say anything. Yeah.
That is just so sad. It is
Yeah.
so sad. So I saw an interview with him. Lindsay Davis interviewed him. She's an ABC news anchor,
She
and
interviewed Herschel Walker.
she interviewed Herschel Walker, and she asked him if the story was true. This woman has come out to say that she was asked to have two
Right.
abortions. One she didn't, and the other she did. And she asked he was asked some time ago, like last week or the week prior to this interview, if he knew who would be putting such a tale out about him, and he said, no, I have no idea, it's just a lie, right? And she asked him this time, do you know who's saying this about you? And he said yes. And she said, well, just last week you said you didn't know. And he goes, I do know now who it is. And he said, it's an absolute lie. She point blank said, are you saying that this woman is lying? He said, yes, it's an October surprise. And it's a flat out lie. And I'm just going to continue campaigning as if nothing was ever said. So, what does that
And
mean,
see,
Lou?
well, but see, I can't keep up because there is almost, is there any hypocrisy though in there in terms of, okay, people are all up in arms, I guess, because he's running, and he's supposed to be against abortion, and now he wanted a woman to have an abortion, but then we're upset because women can't have an abortion and they've taken away our rights. So I'm just trying to understand. So are we then pandering to whatever is popular at the time?
Girl, I don't know.
You
Are
know,
we?
I mean, pick a side. Pick a
Yeah,
side. That's all I'm saying. But
yeah.
I get it. I get it. But
But here's the thing, the reason it matters is because he's running for the Republican Party. And so
I
they
get it.
the family values Christian the evangelical Christians support um that
Yeah,
group. And so if you are an evangelical Christian and this man is found out to be lying, what do you do? Do you still vote because you are all about the party? Like, isn't
yeah.
that a
That
conundrum for them? Like to be in, to be, and we all know that, there's so many stories. This is just one story about Mr. Walker. There's so many stories about where he's not told the truth about his education, about just so many
yeah,
things, right? And when is enough enough? I mean, this guy, I mean, I don't want to just say it appears that he's a liar. I don't know that he is. I mean, he could be, it just, something's not quite right with him. I mean, he admitted to the stories about his
you know,
education and that they weren't
I
true. So,
I
so
don't
he
I
we
don't
just
know.
forgive, and we forget so quickly.
Yeah, and I get it. I about the lying being a big piece of it, but to me, the larger concern is he's unqualified. That
Well,
do the
do
assessment.
so.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's
this is
what we
the
need to
thought that
be
I have.
looking at
Yeah, he is
when
not
we're
qualified.
talking about electing people, because
That
the
is
question was out there with the former president: did you want this person to have access to the code to start a nuclear war? And of course, the answer to that was no. But I'm sitting on pins and needles because of what's going on in Ukraine and all of that bubbling up. So it's just, yeah, I'm telling you,
you.
I wake up
You have
every day and I feel like it's Groundhog Day. And I mean, it's bad and it just keeps happening. And I'm just watching it going, please, Yeah.
Luke,
But
I'm just gonna ring the bell. Ding, 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 ding. You just hit the nail on the head. He is not qualified. But I was gonna make a joke and say what he made me realize is that I could run for Senate. I mean,
I'm telling
really,
you, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
I'm telling you,
he
it's some scary stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's actually getting support, and people don't care because they want their party to win.
Exactly, and that's where we are. They place party above the welfare of this country, the well-being of this country,
Well-being of this
and
country.
yeah, that's I just never thought I would see the day.
I
I
never thought I would see the day.
and and I tell you, just to be transparent, I grew up in the South, so I grew up hearing a lot of the songs about patriotism and how you love the country. And so that stuck with me. And when you grow up and you see people taking sides like this, and it's all about their party with no regard for what's happening to this country, you just it's these are scary times we're in. But when I look at it, Teresa, what I keep remembering is something that's, on a basic level, about a house divided cannot survive. And what
You
we're
know,
doing now is just to the detriment of us all.
it
And
is.
that's what's scary to me.
Mhm.
But Teresa, on another note, I'm constantly keeping up with sports. And when I get up in the morning, I have to check ESPN and Bleacher Report and everything to see who won, what happened. But the story, what's going on now, is that scandal about Brett Favre. Um, you know,
What was that?
yeah. See, I knew when I said that. Okay, Teresa, you could pretend that you're trying to work with me on this. He used to be a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, quite popular. I think he was there before Aaron Rodgers. But anyway, now here is this
Rodgers.
man who was very successful
Yeah.
in the NFL, but he has been embroiled in a scandal in Mississippi where he allegedly was paid $1.1 million from welfare funds. And he received this money that was designated for needy families in that area because he wanted to get a volleyball facility built at his alma mater. And he talked with the governor, and I don't know whether these people were impressed with him and the people who were managing the funds, but it is a big brouhaha now
What?
because he,
But
yeah,
Lou,
you
$1
didn't hear
million?
about that.
I did not hear
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. And you're
And
saying
and
he's
they have text messages that they've now found where he said he didn't know, that's where the money was coming from, but they have I've seen one text that allegedly came from him where he's asking, will people be able to find out I received this money? Is there a way it can be, that I'm not implemented in this, that I'm not called out, or no, I'm not, they're not told that I'm involved in this. So implicated, that's the word I'm looking for. But anyway, so the state, he received this money and it was to go to the University of Southern Mississippi. They received 5 million in welfare money. He wanted a new volleyball facility on the campus.
so Lou, you
Welfare funds, which were intended, and now in that state, I read somewhere, I didn't include it in this, that I'm trying to remember. I know the average income is very low. It is not, a well off area. And yeah, he's misappropriated welfare money. Yeah.
so Lou, you said that this man was a very popular quarterback.
Yeah. 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 Very
So
much.
when you
Very
say
much
very
so.
popular, was he a high paid? Was he it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why couldn't he just use his own $5 million?
Well, you know what, Teresa? That's a good question. You know what I thought about? This is what I'm saying. We have just lost something because when you have money, I've seen this too. I really have. When some people have money and they get used to getting things free, like they get all the perks that come with that status and that position, they start being reluctant to spend their own money and use their own funds for things because much of their lives have been lived around people giving them things. People are sort of mesmerized by them. They get the best seats, they get free tickets, they get, escorts, they get the perks. And people feel like, well, I shouldn't have to pay for that. Let the little people pay for that. And it becomes, they sort of lose sight of it. But these are welfare funds, and I used to sit on the state board of social services, and used to be a social worker. I cannot believe someone would not think in their mind that this is wrong.
Not only that, Lou, like, what was the impact of that? Did some people go hungry because they didn't have that $5 million? That's what I'm
Well,
thinking about. How did these people who suffered as a result of him getting a volleyball stadium?
well, yeah, yeah. But then, I mean, this is at the highest level in the
But
state
you said
because
something though,
the
Lou. He knew it was wrong. If he didn't want to
right.
be implicated, he knew it was wrong.
But the governor sort of, from what I read, tried to push back with fire a bit, like, this might not be a good idea. But they still went along with it, allegedly. Okay.
Alleged. Okay.
But yeah.
Girl, that blows my mind.
But
I did not
no,
know about that. That's not been
but
in the
I,
mainstream news, has it? I haven't seen that story.
Teresa, it's been, I mean, but you may not read that, but yeah, it's been all over. It is. When I saw it, I was like, are you kidding me? But then I've seen people operate sometimes, and I do know it's almost like they get in a bubble where they have a lot of money, but you might be expected to pay for something, but certainly you don't expect me to pay for it, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I haven't reached that status just yet. Trying to.
But yeah, but
That's not
I would
cool.
hope, but I would hope, um, when you reach it, that you can process still that, okay, that's not something I should be doing. That's just
Right.
not right, you
That's
know?
not right. Yeah.
But when you're operating like that and you sort of lose sight and you don't have anyone in your circle to help keep you grounded and
Yeah.
maybe check you, I think sometimes that happens. And then people can just get greedy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
you know?
That's true.
So,
That's
and
unfortunate. And
if
I hope.
if your barometer is in any way, he was a quarterback, sure, made a lot of money, but if the governor thinks we can do this,
Is the
he's the
governor
governor.
still in office?
I don't know if they've what's happened with him. I know that there's an investigation going on now,
Wow.
but he
Wow.
clearly was implicated in these texts for because he wanted to get a volleyball facility, and money welfare funds were misused.
Wow. That is just too bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That is too
So
bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of stuff going on in the news. But Teresa, when you talked about earlier about one of the ways that you can prevent breast cancer was limiting the alcohol
Yeah.
intake. October is actually, what do they call it? Sober October, where this
Oh,
is the month where a lot of, have you heard about that? They
no.
abstain from alcohol. And certainly we've started the month, but you don't have to let that let you off the hook. You can still, folks can still start that now and maybe go until the mid November. But it's the month, the time they call it Sober October, where people abstain from alcohol for 31 days, and it's something that people do to take a break from alcohol. And taking a break from alcohol can actually improve your overall health, and it's also allowed some people to make sort of, it's a good time to make an assessment about, you know what, do I need to drink like I used to? I've heard cases where people, they weren't alcoholics, they had a problem, but just maybe socialized a bit more and then started thinking, you know what, I like going out with my friends and not having, any alcohol with dinner. I don't need that. And so people have started this thing called Sober October, and it's a challenge where it's a good way to help reset the body. And again, it's a good time to help reevaluate your relationship with alcohol.
So
So,
how are you doing?
not doing that yet, and don't worry about it because you know what? To steal a line from Tabitha Brown, that's my business. See, you know what? You always take things too far. You take things too far. That's none of your business. But
Oh my
anyway,
goodness. I couldn't wait for you to finish.
you know what? Whatever. That's my business. But I might be gearing up for next year, though. Don't you worry about it, okay? But seriously, Teresa, they
Yeah,
said
I
that
know. I know.
people
I'm just kidding.
experience overall improved cardiovascular health and weight loss. So
Yeah.
that's something.
That's
An
right.
improved immune system, improvements in memory, mood changes, clearer skin. So
Yeah.
it's a good time. Teresa,
Yeah.
you get on my nerves, okay? But anyway, let's go. You know what? Let's go on to the next thing.
The
Do you
next
have
segment,
this?
yes, we're about to start talking about good things that are happening, right? Some
Okay,
good
okay, yeah,
deeds.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
So I have a woman that I'd like to report about. Her
okay.
name is Karen Arkpan, right? I hope I'm saying her last name properly. But she's known on social media as the Mom Trotter. Have you heard of her?
No, the mom trotter.
Yeah. So she started her blog back in 2017 to document and share budget travel hacks for people, right?
Uh-huh.
So she wasn't a big spender, but she talks about how debt can sneak up on your lives, right?
Uh-huh.
So and the creep, she called it, ultimately caused her family to lose the ability to stay on top of their debt. Okay, so her
Uh-huh.
husband, she had a pretty decent job as a clinical researcher, and her husband stayed home with the son. So, long story short, in 2019, she lost her job, but she
Mm-hmm.
continued to blog, right? She continued to blog. They had an expensive home in California.
Mm-hmm.
So expensive mortgage. They had car payments. They had student loans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had, because she lost her job, really quickly depleted their emergency
Right, right,
funds.
right.
So
Yeah, yeah,
she
yeah.
thought, I can't live this way, and nor was it a good look for their son. She didn't want their son to learn, she
Yeah.
wanted to model a different style of living for her son. So guess what they did, Lou?
Hmm.
They sold their house and bought an RV with the proceeds. No,
A
I'm
lot of
telling
people are
you,
doing that, Teresa.
they bought an RV. And get this, now she's blogging about this all along, right? The first night she slept in that RV, she expected to not be able to sleep, because that's what she was experiencing. She didn't expect anything to change. She slept more sound than she had in a very long time. So
Yeah,
the fact
you don't
that
have that stress, that debt stress on you, you know?
Debt, right? So their budget was $2,000 a month that covered their food, their gas, their health insurance, and some other bills.
Yeah.
So, like I said, continuing to blog, work with me, stay with me. She continued to blog
I'm
about
with
this all
you.
along. Okay.
Uh,
So, Lou, get this. She
Teresa,
didn't
you're
even know.
hilarious. You say stay with me, Lou, like you're telling me some complex chemistry problem or something. Well, I don't know if it would be chemistry or math. That's not my area, but you get my point. Go on.
Okay. And I know you're like, you're so long-winded. Take you
Well,
forever to
that's
say.
well. You know me well. I'm saying to myself, "Good Lord."
Yes, I do. Because you've said it before. Okay. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Okay. So she's blogging, Lou, not knowing that you can make money from blogging. This woman went from
Yeah.
zero to $10,000 per campaign. Now she didn't explain in this.
Yeah.
It wasn't explained what a blog campaign was, but just imagine if she's doing several of those a month.
Yeah.
$10,000. So her living expenses were $2,000 per month. She's making at least 10,000 if she's doing one. But she sold their house and they paid off $2,000 in debt and increased their net worth to more than 200,000. And she
What?
credits all of this to losing her job. So she
Well,
homeschools her kid, she homeschools him, and they travel all over the world. All over the world, right? And she blogs about this. She talks
okay.
she what? Okay, what?
Teresa, I'm gonna tell you. Okay. Now, you always say I write pretty well, and I think I do okay. So you are just gonna have to take one for the team. I need you. You don't have to take one for the team. I say you hit rock bottom. I'll be there to write. I will be there to write about it all. Now, somebody. I mean, really, I think it's the least you can do. Teresa, and stop being, you don't have to live that little lifestyle you're living. Give it up for the team. I will write about it. And then, we get paid.
Now that is hilarious. You are willing to sacrifice me.
Yes, because, I'm here for us. Teresa,
Yeah.
I think
So
you should take one. Give up that high paying job of yours.
here's a quote that she used in the article. Being able to travel internationally puts us in a place where he's right front, and it's talking about our son, and center of all of it. So he's really learning to be a global citizen, which has really been a goal of mine. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they traveled to Scotland. I mean, all of the
Yeah.
tropical island Caribbean islands. I mean,
Yeah.
he studies from wherever they travel to. And she is not thinking about going back to that clinical research job.
I bet.
She's chilling
But
the
you know,
game.
Teresa, I watch, HGTV, where they search for homes internationally and couple families move out of the country. That's one of my favorite things. International house hunters. But that's what I see with the kids. When they are exposed to all different cultures, they learn different languages. That's you just watch them flourish in those new environments. So
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm. Yeah, she's
Wow.
my new hero.
Of
Yeah,
course.
that is
Yeah.
amazing. It's an amazing story.
Wow. And look what happened. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm, that's good stuff. Teresa, I still think, we could actually do that if you didn't want to live your little clutch lifestyle. I think we could do that. But my good news was about last week, I think it was, President Biden announced that he was pardoning thousands of people convicted in federal courts for the possession of cannabis. That's a lot of
I
people,
no, I saw that
primarily
too.
people of color who have been in prison. So he said that he was going to issue full pardons with anyone charged in a federal court. That the New York Times estimated that would clear up the rap sheet over perhaps more than 7,500 nonviolent drug offenders who have been held in federal prisons. That
Yeah,
was
Lou,
great news.
and some
Yeah.
of them for a very long time because it was considered the same as, some other strong
Yeah,
narcotics,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we all know that marijuana, I mean, the
Yeah,
worst, they're gonna
snap.
eat
Yeah,
everything in the kitchen and go to
yeah,
sleep, but
yeah.
it's what they tell me because 'cause I've never indulged myself, but I
Really?
haven't.
Really? Okay.
No.
I'll have to save that conversation, but offline. But folks, you get what I mean, right? Okay, go on, please. Go on.
Nothing nothing to
what?
add.
What kind of
Nothing to
little? What kind of little life did you live?
no,
Okay.
nothing to add.
All right. But yeah. So that was breaking news, and I was excited to hear that. And hopefully, some of my relatives will be impacted. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But but that's good stuff.
You are so
But
funny.
um, but Teresa, you got any more good news? Anything? Any more news? Is that
I'm
it?
done for the day. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Well, I tell you, let me see. Let me check where we are. Oh, well, folks, you missed it because I was going to actually do a bedtime story and I had to fight Teresa to get permission to even to.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Lou? Looks like we lost
But
her.
it has been wonderful
Oh,
being here with you today. Teresa, do you want to tell them what? Well, we've got, of course, our conference coming up this coming weekend. Earrings Off, Empowered Women Empower the Community Conference. So Teresa, that's going to be Friday, October 14th. We won't have it by Zoom. It's going to be live. So if you're not in the Richmond, Virginia area, just send us good energy at about 6:30 p.m. because we will have a group of women together where we're going to chat, have fun, and just relax. And you know why? Because we can, because we earned
yep.
it. And we make no apologies for it. So we
That's
are
right.
excited about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So, and our next show, our next live show is going to be Tuesday, November the 8th at 8 p.m. here on Fireside. And I tell you, Teresa and I, we are going to be working hard so that we can bring you some guests. We know some great people who can talk with you about various topics and they're willing to come on earrings off. So, once we get through this conference, we are going to shift our focus back to trying to make sure that we bring you some good material here on Fireside. So we are excited about that. Okay.
Yep.
Teresa, do you have anything else to add? at
I
this point.
I don't, but we have someone who had joined the stage,
Uh-huh.
Rowena.
Yeah,
Did you
hi.
want to?
Oh,
Hi.
hello.
Hey.
Hi,
Uh,
Rowena. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm in Australia and listening to you both, it's just great. You're so funny and I love all the topics you're talking about. It's just
Oh,
really great to hear. Really
well,
It was
great to
so
hear the
fun.
conversation.
well,
Thank
thank
you. We
you.
appreciate it.
Very much appreciated. Thanks for joining us.
I like, can I ask you a question? Where did the concept of earrings off come from?
Oh, that's a
Well,
good one.
Rowena, it's like everything else on this show. I thought of it all by myself. Teresa, she just sort of sits there like a lump on a log. No, I'm just kidding. We we uh we labored over that. Teresa, you want to talk about that?
Well, I'll tell you what it means, right? So it didn't come easy. And, there is some truth to what Lou said. I mean, it was her idea. But what
Hmm.
it means is that, um, in our culture, you will hear somebody saying they're going to take their earrings off to do battle. And so,
Ah,
but we mean it in a positive way. We're not fighting to hurt anyone. We're fighting to save our community and people. So we provide information that is good for people that people can learn from and can actually benefit and use. So basically, that's what it is. We're taking off our earrings to get down to business. And there's a more in depth description of that you'll find on our homepage on our website www.earringsoff.com.
amazing.
And
I'll have to check it out. It's
please
so
do.
great. It's like that expression, gloves off. I've heard that
Yeah,
expression
yeah,
before.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I love that you just like you're keeping it real. You're bringing,
yeah.
honesty to the table. Yeah, I love
Oh,
that.
well,
It's
thank
awesome.
you. And Teresa and I, we believe that the world is heavy and we're not about being divisive and all of that. We like for people to come together and we can disagree, but we can talk and try to move forward together. We believe in that
Mm.
wholeheartedly. So that's just who we
We need more of those types of
are. Yeah.
conversations at the moment,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
thank
thank you so
you.
much. It's been
All
great
right.
listening to you. I'm going to jump off the stage, but I'll check you out next time. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
all right. Take
Thank
care.
you. Take good care.
All right.
All right.
Okay, Teresa, that is it for us this evening. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here at Earrings Off. We will see you in November. Take good care.
Take good care.